Come with me, Brick Fanatics, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Here it is, at last, the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory Lego set, courtesy of the LEGO Ideas theme. Fan designers Roberto Cerruti and Jody Padulano first created the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory LEGO Ideas project all the way back in 2021. While reaching the required 10,000 supporters for consideration as an official set, it was not approved that time around, but the pair returned with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory Here We Go Again, an alteration of the original design, which did finally get approved, and now here we are with the finished set. Now with the LEGO Ideas project there will always be some changes from the original fan design through to the finished work, the actual LEGO set that ends up on store shelves. After all, the whole point of this is that a fan submits a design idea, LEGO Ideas, and then official LEGO designers working with the fan designer will rework it and adapt it into a finished product. One of the rather big changes to this is the name of the set, and it is a significant change. It has gone from being Charlie and the Chocolate Factory to being Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and that is all over the branding and the design of this set and the actual inspiration and source material that it is drawing from. You see, you've got the original book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and that is a brilliant book. I don't want to say anything in this video that makes it sound like I don't love this book, because I do absolutely adore it. Of course, Roald Dahl is a complicated figure, very much a product of British imperialism, but the book I think is wonderful, has a lot of great stuff in it. It was always going to be a bit difficult to adapt something like this into a LEGO set though, because, well, how do you really even do that? I mean, yes, you've got the illustrations by Quentin Blake in this particular edition, or by other illustrators in other editions, and you can kind of go off that, but you need something a little bit more real to base a LEGO set on. The fan design, despite being called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, is very clearly drawing its inspiration from the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory film from 1971, and there is a reason why that film is not called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which we'll get to in a second. Here you can see, even in the fan design, we've got a Willy Wonka who looks a lot more like Gene Wilder than he does like, for example, Johnny Depp. I mean, there's similarities to the character as drawn by Quentin Blake in the original fan design, so I guess it could kind of go either way, but definitely it's very clear from this finished product that we are leaning hard into the Willy Wonka branding rather than anything that is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You've got that iconic Gene Wilder Willy Wonka, you've got the Oompa Loompas, for example. That kind of stuff has carried across into the Wonka prequel film with Timothée Chalamet, and for some reason Hugh Grant, instead of like actually just getting a shorter actor in order to play. Never mind, I'm leaving that to one side. The result then is, in my opinion, a much stronger LEGO set with a much easier to pass visual identity. You look at this thing, you know exactly what it is supposed to be, rather than it being complicated by one of the various different other versions of the Willy Wonka / Charlie and the Chocolate Factory story that exist out there. But okay, why is the film called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory rather than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory anyway? Why does this film exist in this form so that a LEGO set can be based on it? It is time for a history lesson. We are going to be talking about oats. One of the most baffling little pieces of trivia in all of film history, in my opinion, is the fact that the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory film was paid for by the sale of oats and porridge and other various different breakfast foods. The story goes that not long after the publication of the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book, a film producer by the name of David L. Wolper had an idea to turn it into a film, and he decided and persuaded the Quaker Oats Company to fund the entire production. That was an absolutely weird thing for Quaker Oats to do, but somehow Wolper talked him into it. The plan was essentially to make like Transformers or G.I. Joe, but for chocolate, where you've got those cartoon series that are designed to be basically lengthy adverts for kids. So kids sit down watching Saturday morning cartoons, watch some Transformers, and then say, I want to buy me a Transformer. The same kind of thing was meant to happen with this film. The plan was that the people would go and see Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and then think to themselves, I could go for a scrumdiddly-umptious bar. That's why the film ended up being called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory rather than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because Quaker Oats rebranded their sweets division to Wonka. This was meant to be the big media push that would really cement Quaker Oats as a major contender within the chocolate industry. It's not that much of a stretch in the grand scheme of things to imagine the jump from oats to cocoa beans. This is the kind of thing that food companies do all the time. Had this worked out for Quaker Oats, they wouldn't have even been the only major chocolate company owned by Quakers. Fun fact, the Cadbury family, once owners of the Cadbury Chocolate Company were themselves Quakers, and indeed invested an awful lot of time and money and attention to making sure that their workers had the absolute best quality of life possible, because Quakers are just genuinely nice people a lot of the time. When he was a child, Roald Dahl's school actually received various different packages from Cadbury's, as they would use kids in his school to test out their various different products. So you can imagine being a young Roald Dahl, being in school, and then someone turns up with a big box of brand new chocolates, things that you've never heard of before, and they're like, what do you think of these? And he said that that was part of the inspiration for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the book. Anyway, Quaker Oats tried to use Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory to launch their rebranded chocolate enterprises. Things didn't go particularly well, as I understand it. The company wasn't very impressed with the products that they were putting out, and so they didn't have an awful lot of options available on store shelves when the film actually arrived in cinemas, and even then it didn't last for very long, and they ended up just kind of shelving the whole thing. They sold off everything that they had chocolate-wise, including the Wonka name, to Nestle, who own it now, so anything that you see that is Wonka-themed today has absolutely nothing to do with the original creation of this film. It didn't help at all that the film didn't perform particularly well in cinemas. Nobody was particularly interested. It kind of ended up just fizzling out. It only really started gaining cultural ubiquity when it was shown on television. This is a story like films like It's a Wonderful Life, for example, that similarly got reinvented only after television audiences discovered it. And so today everybody fondly remembers Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It is a beloved children's classic, but it took a while to get there. There was that groundswell over time that got it to the popularity that it now enjoys. All of that being great news for Nestle, who didn't have to do a single thing in order to profit off of the continued popularity of the film. Now, personally, I do remember various different attempts from Nestle to make Wonka chocolate bars happen in the UK, including at one point they made like a purple chocolate bar, Wonkalot, which was supposed to be the biggest thing in the world, and nobody liked it, and so nobody bought it. It ended up very, very cheap, and because I could tolerate it, I remember eating a lot of that stuff because I was like, oh, I'm getting a lot of chocolate for my money here. It's weird chocolate, but it's chocolate nonetheless. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the new Lego set? Let us know in the comments down below, and do all of the rest of the YouTube things. Give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and the notification bell. If you are going to be purchasing this or anything else from the Lego website in the near future, you can use the affiliate link which is down in the description, or the QR code that is currently on screen. They take you straight to the Lego website, and we get a percentage of the sale when you purchase through those links. It doesn't cost you a penny extra, but it helps to keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics. Speaking of which, you can go to brickfanatics.com for coverage of all things Lego, and sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything Lego related ever again. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.